Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, click the bell icon to be notified when we upload new videos.
Hi everybody, I'm Kim Robertson, here for the Harp Gathering online, and I'm teaching a class today called Christmas Chillout. Christmas can be a very stressful and hectic time of year for people, so my personal goal is to create relaxing, calm, meditative Christmas arrangements to help calm the pace rather than increase the pace. I think there's enough jolly music playing out in the stores and every place we go, so this is a chance as a harpist to feature the beautiful resonance of your instrument and also to explore some of your own creativity. So this is basically an arranging class. I'll be talking, using a few examples of carols that I've arranged and showing you how I build them. So even if you're not big on theory, don't be scared away, but I'll be using some terms, but I'll be explaining them all, and I'll be showing you some, I guess, interludes, introductions, some substitute harmonies, and ways you can expand these and make them longer and more relaxing. And I'll also just show you just a few ideas for the carols you already play. So if you're paper trained, if you don't like playing by ear, you still might get something out of this. But if you're a person like me who's right brain and wants to create your own arrangements, this is for you, no matter what level of harpist you are. And I will be talking through all the patterns I'm doing. So I'll start with beautiful Christ Child's Lullaby, one of my favorite hymns. It's from the Hebrides in Scotland. There's some handouts there if you want to print them out if you haven't already. I'm in the key of C, and which means no sharps or flats, but it's actually a G mixolydian, which is, if you're in the key of C, is G with a flatted seventh. So some of you are into mode, some of you could care less. So just play what's written here, and you'll get it. So the piece, when I first learned this, I thought it was just the chorus. I thought it was this much. So that's actually just the chorus, and then I find out there's actually a whole verse to it and melodic variations for it. So back when I learned it, there was not YouTube and or even much of an internet, so I didn't have the same resources we have today. So I think I learned it from somebody's recording. I think it was actually an LP, vinyl. If any of you kids remember that, that's how old I am. So back in the day, we had to actually, hear it from somebody else. And now you can just look up 50 versions of Christ Child's Lullaby online, and you'll see there's quite a few variations. So if you are a singer, every time the words change for every verse, so the melody might alter a little to fit those words as well. So this is just a quick arrangement of it, just show you the contrast between the verse and the chorus and how I might use that in my arrangement. So I'll play the verse first, then I'll go on to the chorus. I'm just going to use simple fifths, my left hand. So it's the G, I'm going to play G, D, and F, D, like that. Just dropping the F down to here. So it's quite simple, so let's try that with melody. And then with my right hand, I'm only going to play my index finger. Maybe not all the time, but I like the sound of that. If I place it all, it sounds kind of too connected. Instead, I like the sound of like little bells ringing. You hear the difference? Yeah, try it for yourself. You don't have to do it that way, just the way I do it. So here I'm going. Sorry, I got a little confused by which is the verse, which is the chorus. Yeah, I believe that's the chorus I just played. I think I meant to play the verse. Here's the verse. Yeah, so that's the verse, which comes first. Chicken or the egg. I usually start and end this piece with a chorus, I guess, because that was my first learning of this piece with that melody. And that's the part you sing Alleluia to, and the other ones have the words. So now that was simple, just simple fifths. Notice when there's just a G in one bar and then nothing for whatever that is, 4 or 5 bars. Don't play another chord. A lot of us have the tendency to overfill the chords. I guess we feel naked or it's too empty, but it's still ringing. So you don't need to play another chord. So it turns into a march. So let us wait for that chord. So you hear that? And then if you're using some low notes, even more so, it really rings. So hear that? How beautiful that is if I filled it up. Like 5 out of 10 harpists would do that. It feels weird to leave that measure empty, but leave it empty. This is the beauty of these carols. They're ancient and resonant, and you want to create a beautiful space for the listener to enter. So for the next verse, I might take a G, D, G, my left hand. I'll do it with the right hand so you can see. Then I'm going to drop the bottom 2 notes, F, C, and keep the G on the top. You hear how beautiful that is? G, D, G, F, C, G. Yeah. That's hard to do. Okay, here's my left hand. And F, C, G. So it's kind of like you're playing an F chord with the G drone up here. So it's this formula of leading one note the same and moving the other one. So you have a beautiful anchor point on the left hand. So here's how it sounds. I might do some broken chord or keep it pretty simple. So there's an example where you could do a chord substitution. Instead of F chord, you could play a D minor chord, which is the relative minor of F major. So F major is this. The D minor, you count down 2 strings, and there's your minor. So it means they share the same key signature, but it's minor. I wouldn't play the third, however, so I would go, so that's the last F chord on the piece here. So it goes here. So instead I'm going to play D minor. And the third time I might do both. I might go D minor to F. Let's listen to that. So you see, each time I'm going to play it, and I'm going to play it for a long time if I was in a performance setting, because this is kind of a mantra, isn't it? It just goes on beautiful, beautiful flowing way. It's a lullaby, so what's the hurry? So keep it slow and play as many times through as you like. So, it does get repetitive though. So one thing I like to do is create a space between the verse and the chorus so that there's contrast, so it doesn't feel like just repeating the same thing. And I do that by creating little interludes. And because this is a Mixolydian mode, I just I use those 2 chords as my chord vamp, they call it. When you go back, you keep repeating a chord progression over and over, we call it a vamp. So I'm doing G to G. I'm moving everything down except the low G. G, C, F, left hand, then C, F, C, F, C. That's another F chord inversion with a G drone. I mean, you could go to the F bass if you wanted. Nothing wrong with that, but it suddenly makes it sound kind of ordinary, and I like this. I like this crunchiness, this slight dissonance, and I like that. I think it helps keep it kind of, I don't know, it adds tension to the piece. So I want to just play this is the ending of second verse. Interlude. Copying the rocky motion of the piece. Here's a Interlude. And here's the chorus with octaves. Yeah, so I doubled the melody in octaves. And one tip about octaves, especially in a delicate piece like this, don't make them equal volume, the notes that the 4 and the 1 are playing. And even more important, although it's usually the opposite in classical music and other kinds of music, don't make the thumb louder, you want to make the 4th finger louder. So you can practice it this way. Break it into 2 parts, make the 4th one, make this one soft. Then when you put them together, you hear how the thumb is just a little echo instead of that annoying, that's too piercing. All you want to hear. It also makes it easier to play. I was trying to play the melody for the verse up high the last time through, and I was like, oh, it's hard to see up there. But this way you have that 4th finger, you can keep your eye on that, and it's easy to play the octaves then, especially if you practice it. Now notice, I'm actually dropping my thumb a little bit. I'm not pulling in, I'm not articulating it. You don't want it to be full tone, you want it to just be, and it's coming off. So this whole different style of playing. Yeah, so play with 1 finger and don't pull in and drop your thumb. Your harp teacher's going to kill me. This is personal for this piece. I don't do this for every piece, certainly. But a piece like this is very simple and you want to keep it stark. You want to keep it pristine. You don't need a lot of tone. You don't want to go. You don't want a big climax. You don't want a big finish. You want it to. It's a lullaby. It's like a chant piece. You kind of want it to just fade out. So finally, what I might do to end this, I do it called Tremolos, where I'm repeating a chord pattern over and over. So from the bottom up, right hand take a D, G, D. D, G, D. And I start from the thumb and I play it and then my left hand can play the melody, and in this case I'm using the thumb up, and so I can mute, not dampen, but just keep it quiet to keep the notes from ringing down here. Let it ring a little bit. You don't want it to be staccato. If you don't do that, it gets a little messy. So here's how it sounds. Triplet, dropping my thumb, and don't play 1. You don't want it to be metric. It should be timeless. So finally, for the last verse, you heard I actually finally went to the real F chord and sounded kind of substantial, didn't it? Because I made the listener wait for that. And I don't do it just for performance, I do it just because I love that sound. So those are some ideas for Christ Tells Lullaby. This is a really good example of a tune you can use it as a work tune, as a working etude to practice some of these techniques and to see how long you can make it relaxing, but still interesting. So it still has tension, but it has this beautiful slow momentum. It's actually, in my opinion, harder to play slowly than it is quickly. We like to look busy and wiggle our fingers and play real fast. And But if you're playing slowly, it's very exposed. Every note you play is going to be heard. If it's a mistake, it's going to be a little more obvious than if you're playing fast. And also the rhythm is key. If your rhythm isn't, if you start rushing or not keeping that groove, it's going to be obvious. So this is the whole secret of playing these pieces. In a relaxed pace, this needs to be beautiful. And one secret I've learned is to, I learned from a guitar video actually how to play slow airs is to subdivide. So you'd think you would just put the metronome beat on one, but instead this guitar player suggested you listen to the subdivisions. So those are 16th notes, 1 E and 2 E, whatever they are, it's 8 notes. Yeah. I'm going too fast now, but so in my head I'm hearing those fill, and so I don't rush the long notes. So this is a good technique you can use. It's pretty annoying with the metronome, but you might want to just practice it and singing with it. It'll help you create that feeling of spaciousness, because it's the rhythm that supports us. So if you don't have all those chords in there, our tendency is to rush. So remember, the best teacher you have is a tape recorder. So listen to your arrangements and see how they feel. Where is it rushing? Does it have a beautiful atmosphere? Does it make you want to sit back and listen? So this is not necessarily for self-critique, but for self-learning. You can learn where you are rushing and where perhaps your tone is too loud or too soft. It was a big revelation for me when I started recording myself. I thought I was pretty good until I started recording myself, and I thought, okay. And performances are so different than recordings. You can, just because you're scrutinizing it. So, and then you can quickly delete it. So that's the beauty part. Okay, we're going to go on now. So next, I'd like to show you some examples for this hymn called "Sea Amid the Winter's Snow." It's by John Goss, and it's the standard version is in key C. Sounds kind of like an ordinary, jolly Christmas hymn. So for some reason, I decided to, I don't know how I landed here, I decided to do it in what they call a Lydian mode, which is, so if I'm in key C, Lydian is the 4th note up, and then B is natural, so that's what makes it, instead of flatted, so that's what makes it the Lydian tonality. But don't worry, just this is, you don't need to know these technical things. I know a lot of you are into modes, so and some of you are probably thinking, how do you know what chord to play? You just listen. You have 7 choices, and a lot of people feel like they don't have the authority to choose the harmony, but this is silly, because on harp, if you're in a diatonic tuning, if you choose the key, all you have to do is try all the notes. So instead of C, say I don't want to start it in C, how about B? No? That's pretty, I can make that work. I just did Christ Child, so G, I don't want to do that. See how nice that sounds? And here's E. No, F sounds the best in my ears. You might just decide differently, or you might say, can't we just play it in C? Sure, but I'm going to get to C eventually. I'm just going to start it out in Lydian mode, and it creates this kind of evocative atmosphere. So just like I did for the piece above, I'm playing an F C F chord, and I'm just going to raise the top 2 fingers to play a G chord with the top finger, so D G, so F C F, F D G. So it's again a drone with another chord. So so you see that one note is always the same, and then it makes a nice little anchor point for me so I don't get lost. It also creates this beautiful, by repeating that drone, it creates this underlying tension. So it's a way to create tension without speed. It's like this. It's a drone. It's a beautiful ancient tradition, playing music with drones. So and then I'm gonna play a couple of times through featuring this mode, and then finally we'll get back to the standard key, and it'll sound like this amazing shift. So it's about tension and release again. So if you want to play along, this is the I'm just playing the chords written here. Let it rain. So G chord with F bass. So instead of going, as you could hear, I got into the standard chords. I could have resolved to the C, but too soon. If you're going to do these different interpretations, you have to mean it. You can't be apologetic and go, oops, that's kind of weird mode. Sorry, I'm going to get back to C now. Instead, work it, baby. You got to continue in that, keep us there in that world of Lydian mode, and then finally take us to the warm and fuzzy land of C major. So at least that's my personal taste. You might hate this whole idea, and that's fine. But just give it a try. If not this piece, try it on another piece. So, and then at the end, instead of resolving, I went back to the F. So it's called a deceptive cadence or false cadence or fake out. So I went back to the shifting Lydian mode, and then I'll play the second verse in that. So. Interlude, make sure they know I mean it. That's my snow falling. And here's second verse. So there, I didn't do the deceptive cadence. I went back to key of C and setting up the warm and fuzzy verse. And you notice how I went from C to F. So I'm still referring to the F and keeping it all part of the same arrangement. So this seems a little mental, but really, so far I've only played two chords. This is my third chord, until I got to the A minor stuff. So here it is again. The interlude, F chord. It's an F chord with a C drone though, and here's the sweet verse. Could end it on C, depending on the setting. If I was playing this for church communion or something, I'd probably just resolve it on C major. But if I'm just playing it for a performance or for myself, I'd definitely go back to leading mode. Snowing, whatever you want. Yeah, Yeah, so I kind of did a little snow improv there. I faded out and just some tremolos and octaves down with a light touch, and then I did a tremolo featuring the B. So that was, I was going C, G, A, C, B, G, A. I don't know what I was doing. It was brilliant though. So that's the thing. It doesn't have to be in stone. You know, whatever you're doing, if you have this beautiful foundation of a droned rhythm going down here, then you can't get in trouble. You know, maybe you hit some odd notes, so you just keep that beautiful slow rhythm going. And to notice when I played the major version, I made it kind of churchy. You know, I went back to the. I made it sound more like a hymn arrangement because it provides contrast to I was doing a lot of broken arpeggios and stuff. So this is another thing you're looking for. Now I think I did record this piece, and I think I played the C major thing more than once. So again, it depends on the length you're going for. And for those of you who like you don't want to do this work and you like this piece, most of these examples are one of my Christmas songbooks. I published a lot of Christmas arrangements. But I actually never use them myself. I mean, unless I'm playing with the flutist, so I don't like reading music, and my arrangements are hard. I mean, I encourage you to go out and buy them, but they are hard. And please, if you do have them already, feel free to simplify them and put your own ideas on them. You don't have to be literal. I don't play them that way anymore. I change it every time. I might use the same introduction ending because they were, cool ideas and a cool framework for the piece. But this is the joy. The whole joy of playing this music, especially music you can play every year, is to have it evolve with you. And as my personal tastes change, so do my arrangements. There's no, you can't really, you can't, you can make a recording, but every time you play, it's gone. It's like an ephemeral thing. So I don't know why we get so attached to our arrangements or feel like replayed imperfectly, because it's always going to be a little different, and that's exciting. It's no judgment on each other. We enjoy the whole aspect of playing the harp. It's not about comparing yourself to others. So if you can't play my arrangements, I can't either. I can, but it's a struggle. And people are shocked by what a bad reader I am. But I'm not proud of it. I just think you go with your strengths. So if you have a good ear, then use your ear to develop. If you're a really great reader, then, this is interesting, but there's a lot of great Christmas arrangements out there by all kinds of us. So but still, it's good to be informed. Even if you're not creating your own arrangements, it's good to be informed of what is that? Why does that sound like that? So be aware of what these harmonies do and how it shifts it. And most of all, don't be afraid to slow down. So next up, we have the Hymn of St. Patrick, which is one of my favorites. It was an old Irish hymn, and I think it's also known by the St. Patrick's breastplate or something like that. And in the hymnal, it's called I Bind Myself Today, and there's English words to it. And there's a whole story about it. You can look it up online about St. Patrick having this revelation up on the hill. So it's kind of a significant piece, and I don't even know if it's a Christmas carol, but I play it all year round. So it has the quintessential chord progression that sounds so Celtic, where it goes major, minor, major, minor, major, and of course ends on the minor. So I'll play a little bit for you. Let's do real simple chords. So this one's kind of a built-in chill-out piece, isn't it? It's just so beautiful. You can just play it utterly simple because the chords are kind of sophisticated. They change every time. It's not like a drone tune. But what you can do with this one, the reason I included it on this handout is I like to create an introduction that becomes a vamp that I use as an interlude and improvisational tool if I want to, just make it longer or have some fun improvising. So I take a cue from the harmonies. So to start my intro, I'm going to go A minor chord to F to G. So let's try that. So this is 3, 4, 3. So my right hand just playing C, E, and now B, D. piece. And so forth. And I'm keeping the chords really simple because, as I said, you don't have time to do anything too busy. And here it ends up. Now I'm going to expand my introduction. I'm going to go. I'm going to D minor. I probably wouldn't do that the second time. I'd probably save it for the third time. Let's pretend it's the second verse. I'm going to keep the same thing that I did for the intro and improvise over it. F, G. Yeah, so I use that trick of doing arpeggio to get up to the upper register. It's like, where is that? There it is. So it's a really good trick. So if you have trouble playing up high, just get yourself there. And so finally for my third verse, I would do longer interlude. So I just changed the chord. It's still a 3-chord vamp, but I went A minor to F to D. And just let the D be two bars long. So it's A, F, D, 2, 3, D, 2, 3, A, D, D minor. Example, but I decided to get out of the interlude, so I went A to F to G, then A, F to G. And G will lead you right back to the A minor. And then I might do, like I did a previous hymn, is do a churchy version. By that I mean, more straight chords, not rolled, not arpeggiated, just kind of simple harmonies. Because it sounds beautiful on harp, it doesn't sound, it's still delicate. So I like that feeling. And then I might end with my. I could do that all day long. You could alternate between the intro and that. And those are just examples. I mean, I don't even know if that's the way I played it on the recording, but as I say, these are works in progress because we're always making progress as a musician. And next we're going on to page 2 of the handouts. We have an example of Gregorian chant or plain chant. I grew up Episcopalian. We had a lot of these beautiful plain chant hymns in our hymnals, and then I went through a whole several years where I only listened to Gregorian chant and sitar music, and I liked this feeling of momentum and metric. It had a metric sense, but it wasn't square. So it had this feeling of spaciousness. So this is just an approximation of the time signature. It's really how you feel it. And if you hear the example of the monks singing in these acoustic chapels, it's almost like they're also listening for the echo the way we can with harps. I think harps are ideal for playing Gregorian chants, whatever religion you are, they're beautiful. And if not Christian, then seek out some other chants and let the harp resonate and create this, what do they call it, a sound current. It makes a beautiful sound. So here's the way I learned it. And so if you were counting, that wasn't exactly 6/4, but it's not rubato. It's not like a fermata at the end of each phrase. There's still a beat there. So whatever you feel. It doesn't matter where one is. The thing is, it still has that beat, and then each phrase can have a beautiful crescendo. But it's not musical theater. It still has this feeling of sacred chant. So how would you elaborate on something like this? It's so stark and beautiful. Obviously, you can increase the chords. And one thing I like to do that's kind of underlooked on harp, because we can play chords, is just to play the melody in unison, and also to spread out your range. So we tend to, when we go higher octave, we tend to move both hands, but why not move them apart? So that kind of sounds cool. So here. I don't know, I probably would do an octave, so I'm going to do that though. But then it sounds so much different and cleaner if you play both hands unison octaves instead of going like this. Even if you're using that technique I mentioned, fourth finger loud, listen how much cleaner it sounds. In this case, I would use fingering because you can articulate it, or even cooler, an octave apart. Yeah, easy. I warmed up today, did you? Okay, try it again. My left hand, hello. Yeah, actually I would probably play it with my thumb up to dampen it, so. You probably can't hear it over the video, but my harp is just resonating. I hear all the overtones. So I do that sometimes, especially if I'm in church, I play an amen. If you're up here. You could do the also underutilized backward arpeggio. I love that sound. We tend to always roll up because it's easier, but go down. Like this beautiful cascade. More of my snow theme. I love that feeling of things floating down. You can practice going up and down on your harps to get that feeling. So that's just an example. You can use this same expression for any piece. You can turn Silent Night into a Gregorian chant, which I'm going to show you next. But I just want to include that one. And if they are new to you, do some research. There's some beautiful resources. All these ancient hymns and laudas, praise to the Virgin Mary, and all this good stuff. And they're beautiful melodies, and they're ancient melodies, so something worth exploring because they work really well on harp. So, and they're public domain, so no worries about copyrights. So next we have Silent Night with substitute harmonies, and what that means is playing chords I'm not supposed to. That's the technical definition. It just means you're trying some of the harmonies. Remember we talked about trying all 7 chords to see what sounds good. So of course C major sounds gorgeous, but I want to create a more meditative version of it, and so I did in minor, but I don't stay there. I go from A minor to F. So I'm playing with the modes and not just staying in one. So this is just a weird arrangement of it, but try it. Play the chords along with me, and then eventually we'll get back to the key of C, just like we did with the C Mid the Winter Snow. So, and I'm going to treat it like a chant. I'm going to take a breath at the end of each phrase instead of. I'm not going to do it metrically. The audience isn't singing along yet, so. let your shoulders drop, you know. Listen to it ring. So there I did a deceptive cadence, a false cadence. Did you recognize that? I went supposed to go C, so I went to the relative minor, same formula. Relative minor of C is 1, 2, 3, A minor. So, and now I'm creating a 2-chord vound. Well, 3-chord. A minor to F to G. Yeah, that's too fast, but I just want to show you what I might do for a vamp. And then I'm not going to go to C yet. I'm going to stay on F because I kind of like that crunchy. I'm teasing at the major key. Back to the minor. Not yet. Recognize that one? Lydian mode F. So in the key of C, you can play around with the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord, which is C, F, G. And that's kind of what I'm doing here with some minor thrown in. So then wait another G chord, which is the 5 chord. It'll always take you to the home key. And then I might do a big fat C chord. Actually, I'll probably play it lower. It's so warm and fuzzy. Then you can play the actual chords, the real chords, the normal chords, the silent night. But keep it slow. Don't get all righteous on it. And even if you are at a concert where you're inviting the audience to sing, everybody loves this piece, and nobody's in a hurry. So we typically do this at the end of concerts, like Christmas concerts, because it's universal. So I'm hearing that. I'm letting it ring, but I'm still feeling a pulse. Still putting some kind of strange chords. Sing-along verse. So no surprises. Cadence if I was doing it with an audience. If I do it myself, I would totally go back to the minor key because I love that. You could go back to the beginning, or you could end up. If you wanted to. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm a little twisted, and it really depends on the setting, you know. But this piece is also, it can also bring up a lot of grief for people because they've lost loved ones or they're alone at Christmas. So this piece isn't necessarily a feel-good number anyway. So I figure why not allow that? You know, tears are really important as well as laughter. So there's nothing wrong with keeping it somber and keeping it a little bit interesting modes that will shift the energy a little bit. I'm doing it for myself. It's just my personal taste. I've been playing this piece for 40 years. My first gig was playing at my parents' church, and up in the choir loft where with a pedal harp. I had to drag it up the windy stairway, and you think I would have learned. That was not the easiest profession, but I was hooked, you know, on Christmas music on harp. It's really a good fit. And finally, I have one more arrangement to share with you. This is it's not my idea. I've heard other people do this, but what's the greatest chill-out song of all times? The Pachelbel Canon, something every harp player is expected to play at weddings, etc. And it's one of the few classical pieces that civilians recognize. So I heard this done. I thought it was such a beautiful idea, and I've done this in concert before, especially when we had a singer. We combine good, what's it called? Jolly Old St. Nicholas with the Pachelbel Canon. So you just take the chords of Pachelbel. You can end with a carol or whatever you want to do. So you have to change the chords slightly when you're playing the actual Christmas song. So as a G. So please notice that on the chord chart there. It doesn't follow exactly. So you can't really play this as a descant of Pachelbel or somebody else is playing Pachelbel, but the chords work through the whole thing. I mean the basic chords, the canon, and when we did it with, I had an ensemble doing it with me, and we really built it up, and you know, took it back to the great big Pachelbel, and then took it back down to the jolly old St. Nicholas. Just a sweet way to end it. So you might end up. sweet little Christmas song. So it's just a bit of whimsy, as they call it, just something. It's a little silly, but this is another thing you can do, is create, mashups, create fusion with other pieces that you know and love. And in general, just don't be afraid to slow down any carol you already play, whatever it is. A lot of these carols are lullabies in the first place. They're lullabies to baby Jesus, so what's the hurry? And all the commercial Christmas songs, they can also be done in a beautiful slow tempo as well. So chill out doesn't necessarily mean slow, but it means relax. And so the other alternative to the ones you want to do more upbeat is just put a groove to them, so that it has this feeling of a journey, a musical journey. And I'll be demonstrating a couple of those in the concert set I'll do for Harp Gathering. So thanks everybody for joining me. I can't wait till we're all in person and really gathering in person again. The Harp Gathering is one of my favorite festivals, and they really do know how to chill out. So happy holidays, and hope to see you again next year in person.